7 minutes after the hour of 8 a.m. It's Saturday. It's November 4th. It's 2023. Wow, it's Daylight Savings Time weekend, Shane.
It is, and it's time for the big show, baby. Let's do it.
Oh, we got a lot to talk about this morning. We've got the mayor's race coming up Tuesday. We've got Tim Sheehy released his financial disclosure. We need to talk about that. How are Rosendale and Sheehy and Test are doing in the polls? We're going to talk about that. Reports of Putin's death may not be exaggerated, Shane, and Mark Meadows has been granted immunity in Trump's January 6th court battle. A lot to talk about today. Before we get to that, though, there's a couple things we've got to talk about. Medicare Advantage plans, sign up right now is between October 15th and December 7th. And those of you out there who are old codgers like myself.
On a fixed income. Yeah, fixed by the government.
Yeah, it's fixed by the government. For years, when these Medicare Advantage plans came out, I kept calling, and there was never any available in our zip code. But last year, guess what? They are now available. They are now available. So I got to give up my supplemental insurance, $130 or $40 a month. That went right into my spendable income. I also got $1,000 worth of dental, $1,000 worth of vision.
And physiotherapy?
I don't know about physiotherapy, but I probably need some of that. But I need some mental therapy, I think. But at any rate,
well, being the Iron Man,
But anyway,
it also has always been a hard choice for.
Yeah, it also increased my Social Security take home. So if you have done what I did before and just assume that Advantage plans are no longer available in Montana, just do a search for Montana Advantage plans or Medicare Advantage plans in Montana and make some calls. And I think you'll find, particularly if you're paying a supplemental insurance, you do have to keep your Part D medical paid and, A and B paid and all that. But other than that, it has been a real deal. So I would strongly suggest you guys get out there and do that.
When you called, did you talk to somebody?
Yeah. Back when I did it, yeah.
Okay. And did they go through a series of questions so you could get this?
No.
You just made choices.
Yeah, you choose. Yeah, they give you the plans and what they cover. Out of pocket, they pay so much for the on store shelf stuff. The antacids and stuff like that, aspirin, whatever. They pay so much of that. But the big thing is dental and vision, which a lot of people don't have, which are seniors. And so I would suggest just do a search for Medicare Advantage plans in Montana. And I believe a bunch of them will show up, more than likely, hopefully. They should. And but yeah, the enrollment date ends on December 7th. So you got plenty of time to get in and do that. So get it done. So.
Well, we have all those things on our checklist, and including physiotherapy. So
yeah, well, you got that. You've got that socialized medicine crap up there.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Let's see what the callers have to say this morning, Shane. It's a beautiful autumn day. Phone number is 406-522-TALK, 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with the amazing Tom and Shane. What's up?
Well, good morning, boys and girls. Did you get more tricks or did you get more treats this past Halloween?
All right. I got more tricks, I think, Nancy.
What were they?
I'll supply the treats.
Well, good for you. Hey, I am so disgusted with government government, I don't want to say too much. I want to make a few comments about AI technology, but just one thing. United States better just stay out of the business in the backyard of Israel. Let them do what they want to the Gaza Strip. I mean, I am just so embarrassed. I mean, who the hell does Joe Biden and our Secretary of State Blinken think they are telling Israel not to protect themselves and they got to do this and that? No, I just cannot support that at all. But getting into something fascinating, AI technology, I just want to say, I was reviewing the World Economic Forum's meeting earlier this year, and there was something that Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, said, and he said something that aliens are going to take over the world. And at first, I didn't really quite understand what he was trying to get at, but I've come to the conclusion that he was talking about AI robots. And, being made in labs. These are the aliens that he's talking about, because he talks about this in one of his books called The Fourth Industrial Revolution. And I think it's fascinating to note that, yes, robots are being used in today's technology, especially in pharmaceutical centers where they're doing research on new drugs to combat deadly illnesses. But I don't know. I'm not afraid of it at all, but I know our government is trying to put fear into us because this is something that they can't control. But I want to mention, and Shane, you may know his name or familiar with him. His name is Eliezer Judkowski, and he works for the Machine Institute there of research there in Berkeley, California, and he does a lot of AI research. And he had something strange to say in April in 2023 in a Time magazine article, and he was telling us that if we make a too powerful AI, that
You've got a phone ringing in the background.
Oh, sorry.
You have to hang up. Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Nancy.
That was kind of rude, Tom. I mean,
well, we got people calling in here.
Say, Nancy, I'm sick to get off the air. I mean, you don't have to go to such elaborate strength.
I know. Well, if we had a modern phone system that worked, I would be happy to use it.
Well, you need some more AI. You need AI robots.
That's what we need.
Here, let me just quickly end my scenario, my story here. I just want to say these robots. Do you think, since you're an award-winning expert on everything, do you think that robots will have digital souls?
Boy, that's hard to say. No. And Nancy, don't worry about it, darling. Darling, look, IBM has had AI with Watson for over 20 years. And if you go and do any kind of research, go look up IBM Watson, like Dr. Watson. And what you'll find is the result of AI, or IBM's AI, is that it's saving people a lot of money, because one example, over 200,000 people have lost their jobs in the legal business. Watson has a store. All the major law firms in your country have them, and they have them because Watson stores all the legal precedent procedure that's ever been created in common law, which goes back 400 years. So they don't need to hire. They basically don't need to hire hundreds of lawyers out of any university at all to do research for precedent procedure for other guys in the firm that basically go to court and do the work, or write up and draft all the legal documents. So another simple example that AI will do is it'll replace the person you talk to at that box when you go through fast food. You'll talk to AI and then just pay your money, and it'll move faster. They can't survive a threshold of 2 years without burning out. So even the robots would too.
Well, I will disagree with Shane all over the place.
You always do.
Respectfully. Nancy, there's no doubt that robots will eventually become self-aware. That's a given. That isn't even in question. That's going to happen. It may not.
They start out that way.
Huh?
They start out self-aware.
Well, no, they don't. No, their decisions are based on how they're programmed. Our decisions aren't made on how we're programmed. Our decisions are made by what we learn as we go through life.
Their program allows them to address questions based on the information they have at hand. That's self-awareness, being able to make a decision or choice, or even design something based upon your knowledge of what you have. So the question is will they be able to interfere with or make a negative or benevolent decision about mankind? And I don't. Maybe.
So in other words,
and I would say yes. Eventually, they will be able to do that.
Maybe 1,000 years from now.
Well,
I don't think 1,000 a year.
I don't either.
I think that the aliens have landed already, and we're the ones that created them. But anyway, hey, it's been great talking with you. Now that we got everybody all confused this morning.
All right. Thanks
you guys
much.
Have a great weekend. I love you all. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, Nancy. All right.
And besides, Tom, you should be happy. I mean, my call was 2 years late. I sent you that article. The first commercial license has now been issued for an electric flying vehicle.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, to commercially transport people by helicopter, basically, an electric-driven operated helicopter. Yeah. For taxis.
Yeah.
For taxi.
And we'll talk about all the downside of that as we go along. 406-522-TALK is the number, 406-522-8255. Caller, thanks for waiting. You're on with Tom and Shane. What's going on?
Good morning, gentlemen, and I'm glad your intelligence isn't artificial.
Yes, it is.
It's a great one. Good morning, good sir.
Thank you. Nice talking to you, gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to ask a question. Do you think Newsom's going to run?
Well, they're talking about Newsom and what's her name from Whitmer from Michigan being as an opposition to Biden. I'm pretty sure they are feeling things out to see what the run that up the flagpole to see if anybody salutes kind of crap. So
well, I think Newsom's already got his finger in the air, licked it, and then seeing which way the wind's blowing. Mm-hmm. The man went overseas. Didn't he go overseas?
Yeah. He's been to China. He's been all over the place. So, yeah, he's feeling things out. No question.
Right. It usually...
Well, the minute he put that finger in the air, Camilla grabbed it and put it where so that he can't find any wind.
Now, Shane, come on. This is a family show here.
I was reasonable about it. I mean, this a woman had to Google AI to know how to spell it.
Yeah, that's intelligent.
Well, she was appointed czar of it this week, so she's got to get it all done.
How did we get off of Newsom and on to Kamala?
I don't know, but leave it to Canada to change gears. Yep. I'm sorry.
Shane's on metric AI.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's metric over there. I forgot about that. Just the other day, the Biden administration said that there are corruption concerns in Ukraine. And I thought to myself, excuse me there, White House, why are you pushing more money to go to Ukraine when you have concerns about corruption? I don't get these folks. I really don't. Something's not right, Tom.
Well, I would agree with you. I don't know why we're pumping up Ukraine. Just a thing. Well, it's a war with Putin, really, and we're going to talk later that his death might be may not be exaggerated.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And it may well be that no one wants to report on Ukraine because the Russians are withdrawing.
Well, or else they're winning, one of the two.
Well, I had trouble. believing anything that comes out of the news, and that's including Fox. And I don't understand why they're constantly reporting these numbers that's coming out of the Palestinian Health Authority about casualties.
Yeah.
It's constantly rising to, and I believe, again, it's to create sentiment against Israel. How can you believe anything that comes out of that, out of the Palestinian, official?
Well, you can't. We did the same thing in Vietnam. We inflated numbers. If there was a rabbit dead, that was a Viet Cong. So.
Yep. Yeah, and it cost us dearly. I mean, it finally
did. Yeah.
Came out that the truth came out, and didn't they just have somebody object to the fact that Israel took out an ambulance, but it was full of terrorists.
Yeah.
And so this demonstration in D.C. is going to be something to watch. I mean, there are going to be some really upset people going against Israel for what reason I don't understand, other than the fact that they're anti-Semites, every single one of them. I don't care. Israel shouldn't even listen to Blinken, shouldn't listen to Biden. They should do what they have to do to clear the threat to their country away.
For the people who may not know, there's a big march planned on Washington at the White House, and I guess the Capitol, too. Maybe they'll go into the Capitol. Who knows? But anyway, there's big anti-Israel demonstrations planned in several large cities around the East Coast mainly. But, that's going to take place today, so keep an eye out on your news for that.
I'm two things. I'm not going to try to burst Nancy's bubble. I love her to death. When the President of the United States signs an executive order regarding AI, okay, and he wants to have some sort of censorship in this. I haven't seen the executive order. I wish. I'm going to go to the library today and see if I can pull it up. But I believe it's to suppress the truth and continue their agenda, and it'll go through a human censor. You know what I'm saying? Which all it does is bring the Democrats endless propaganda under the guise of national security. I'm very concerned about this sort of thing. Anytime this guy signs an executive order, it doesn't seem to do the citizens of the United States the best.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Hey, Tom, is MSU playing today?
MSU is playing Northern Arizona, and they are 7.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 135.
Yeah, tough game last week.
Yeah. Northern Arizona, I believe, is 5-1. Cats, I think, are 5-2 now. I think.
Yeah, they lost that game to Idaho, and I think that's a conference game. Idaho's in the big sky.
Well, I'll tell you.
Is it at home or away?
Boy, I didn't look. I think they're playing here. Pretty sure.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I've been to that stadium. It's below ground. It's a domed stadium, but you walk down into it. It was carved out of the ground. It's below ground. Anyway, I'm just concerned about that executive order. I'm going to go to the library and read up on it and see what it's all about.
Well, I can give you a couple things in it that will raise your red flag. One of them is it's going to require developers of the most powerful AI systems to share their safety test results and other critical information with the U.S. government. That should scare the hell out of you.
Yep. There you go. Thanks, Tom. Okay. You made my day.
No problem, man. Thanks for the call.
You betcha. Bye-bye.
All right. I don't know, Shade. When Joe Biden gets into anything with intelligence, we're in real trouble. But
I would definitely. I would say that's a really true fact.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man, anything you share with the government is not gonna be good.
Yeah, I know.
It's not gonna happen. That is not gonna be good for you. A couple other things I've got to talk about. War help scams. Shane, there's a lot of scams going around, to help Israel, help Palestinians, whichever side you're on, doesn't really matter. But there's a lot of reports of scammers calling and asking for donations for humanitarian aid for Gaza and whatever. So just be careful when you when those things happen to you, or if you get one of those phone calls, I should say. The other thing I've got to mention, Bozeman Magazine, Bozeman's Choice this week, or this month, I should say. We need your vote. BozemanMagazine.com. Tom and Shane are up for several awards under media and info. Nothing will happen to you. You won't get inundated with emails. You won't get offers from people. We've done this for years. I've yet to have a single complaint from anybody who signed up and voted for us that they were inundated with any kind of emails or anything, or anything that they didn't sign up for. So,
well, except the box of Valentines you saved, to send to people for voting for us.
Well, yeah. That's yeah. The other thing I need to let you know is that this is Daylight Savings Time weekend, and every year we, as a public service, Shane and I want to make sure that you aren't late for work on Monday. You set your clocks back. So Shane's chauffeur will personally call you at 2 a.m. All you got to do is send your phone number to our text line, 478-8298. And Shane's chauffeur will call you at 2 a.m. to make sure that you set your clocks back. So, spring forward, fall back. So, as they say. So, you're going to lose an hour of sleep Saturday morning to Sunday, I guess. But we want to make sure that you're not an hour late for work on Monday morning. So,
well, we want people to dream about it as long as they can.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. So, all right. That's going to wrap it up for the first segment here. We come back. We got to talk about the mayor's race. We got to talk about these financial disclosures by Tim Sheehy and Rosendale and Sheehy and Tester. What do the polls say? We're going to talk about that. Reports of Putin's death might not be greatly exaggerated. We're going to talk about that as we go through the morning. So a lot to talk about. So stay with us. Tom and Shane on Saturday morning. We're happy to be here with you. And the Cats are going to take on Northern Arizona. They're 7.5-point favorites. And we'll be right back with more exciting stuff right after this. 27 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Saturday. It's November 4th, 2023. The Bobcats are taking on Northern Arizona Lumberjacks at 1 o'clock at the stadium today. So that'll be on our sister station, 100.7 FM dial. And we hope you tune into that. And the Bobcats are 6-2. Northern Arizona is 3-5. Shane, what do you... And the Bobcats are 7.5-point favorites. So there you go.
They are.
See, when I stop talking, you're supposed to start. Yeah.
The big thing is that football keeps evolving because the schools get better and the teams get better and so it's nice that they get to move up. It's just unfortunate that the western, northwestern, and southwestern, west of the Mississippi. Well, that's not fair. So, west of Nebraska, north and south, we don't get the recognition as teams. They sort of treat that area of college football, the Northwest, like, the CFL, Canadian Football League. You know what I mean?
It's not even there. So, all right.
Well, the stadium's not as big either, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Bozeman Stadium is, 40,000?
Yeah. So.
And, the big stadiums like in Ohio State and Louisiana.
Well, Rose Bowl's 101,000.
I know. It's just.
Yeah. So.
Football is amazing.
Well, football funds a lot of colleges,
I know. And a number of programs, and it's a remarkable thing when you look at the breadth of it. I mean, just how extensive it is, and what a package deal for the NFL to pick people. I mean, we're ninth week into the NFL season, and you watch, and most of the commentary is talking about people that have come in, a week ago from high school or college, or, free agents, because they're replacing everybody that's getting taken out, right?
Yeah. Well, they can't come in from high school, but they can't come in from college.
Oh,
so.
yes, they can.
No, they can't. There's no high school kids anymore. No, that's done. That's over.
All you have to do is watch the games, and when they put the pictures up and they tell them where they're from, they'll tell you they're from the high school.
But they didn't come in right out of high school. They played ball somewhere else. They didn't come in out of high school because that was kiboshed several years ago. That's why LeBron's record will never be broken, because nobody can come in out of high school like Kobe Bryant and LeBron did. So now
that's true in basketball.
Yeah. All right. So we won't lose any more listeners talking about sports. There's a couple things on our app chat line that came in too late to get on, Shane, last week, and I wanted to put them on because the first one from our app chat, AM 1450 KMMS app on your smartphone. You can text us directly while listening to the show on your smartphone. What a deal is that? Wow.
I don't know. My smartphone, I have to put earplugs in because you can't have it on listening to stuff like that.
Yeah, mine doesn't have a jack, so there you are. So,
that's bad.
Can I read these? Are you done?
Well, it's sad to know you have a deaf phone. I just feel bad. I'm worried about you now.
Okay. All right, from last week, I don't think I laughed so much from start to finish as I did on this day's show. How is Bozeman going to change if Republicans don't run candidates? And we're going to talk about the mayor's race here in just a moment. The app won't play, from what I understand, so maybe at the break at the top of the hour, I will see if I can text. We went through an engineer change again. What a surprise. It is Town Square Media. I mean, anyway. From our text line, let's see. We're going to have, we're not doing that. So, it was reported Israel took out an ambulance with Hamas. It had been reported that way. Love it when people comment on executive orders without reading it, like commenting on whatever. Okay, so not going there. White House isn't sending money. We're sending American-made weapons, which is better and a bargain than sending troops to Poland. And we're also sending humanitarian aid, which translates into cash. Who should teach AI developers share results with? Who should tech AI developers share tech results with? Elon Musk? That'd be all right. I guess. Let's see. I was wrong. You gain an hour of sleep if you set your clock back. So I don't know what I was thinking, Shane. So yeah, you set back an hour of sleep. So. If you get thinking that you have a lot of influence on others, try ordering another man's dog around. There you go. Maryland Matt Rosendale has a dilemma: run for Senate again and lose again because he's a radical all-right nut bag, or keep his seat and keep obstruction in the House. Well, he wasn't one of the 23 Democrats that voted to keep Shalita Tlaib talking. None of our guys voted for that, by the way. So,
well, it requires 2/3 votes.
Yeah. Let's see. A robot may not injure a human being or through interaction allow a human being to come to harm. Yeah, right.
Read that famous book, I, Robot.
I was going to say, obviously you haven't watched I, Robot, have you? So,
that was the first sci-fi book I wrote. Well, H.G. Wells. I read all of H.G. Wells' books.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll find out as we go along there. So, what can I tell you? All right. Well, we got to talk about this mayor's race because, well, we've got, I don't know, pick whichever definition you like, Shane. We've got three socialists or three communists running. Take your pick. Either one.
I only have two words: fool's gold.
Yeah. Well, this is as bad as it's been since Kirchhoff and Marcia Youngman and Joe Frost led the league in liberal crap. The other thing that is dangerous is the housing situation, Shane. The commission has designated a large portion of Bozeman as over, anything you want to build, I guess, for one of, they got R1, R2, R3, RA, whatever. So anyway, but the problem with this, when you think about it, Shane, when you put up a single family home, you buy the lot, right? And,
Yes, sir.
maybe the lot's 80,000, whatever. And, you put $100,000 house on it or more or whatever. But when
that's the way it used to be. Yeah.
Yeah. But now when you take a plot of ground and now it's available to put a 4, 5, 6, 10-story building on, apartment house, complex, condos, townhouses, whatever you want to put on it, the price of that land escalates considerably. Because I'm not going to sell you my plot of land if you're going to, if you're going to make billions off of it. So what are you going to put on my land before I sell it to you? So there's that going on. Bozeman's plan is to build up, not out. And, a lot of people don't like that. We want to be able to see the mountains while we're driving around Bozeman, not somebody's laundry hanging out on the 10th floor. So.
Well, it's a large, it's a part of the largest carnivorous forest in the world, and you're out in the middle of the wilderness. So you're out in the middle of it, and you're in the foothills. So you have all these advantages of why your city should expand. I remember the big argument back in the '60s in Billings, when they built out east, of the airport, and they had the big road up to the airport was really a cool road to drive up to, and then they had to go around and go up and build a road up to that part of Billings that was built, and it was hugely successful. So it's just that, you have these liberal environmentalists in your state that, are basically forcing governments like yours to make those choices because they don't want to open up any forest land, which is rather funny when you consider how large the forest lands of your state are.
Yeah. Let's see. The phone app for KMMS is working just fine for me at 8:40. So, okay. So maybe it's a problem with somebody else's line. That's from our text line. We really appreciate you guys out there feeding us the info that we need, because since I'm talking on the air,
new engineer, yeah.
Well, you're on the app, aren't you? Isn't that how you hear the phone calls and everything?
I phone in, and I can hear the phone calls. But I have used the app, and I get messages all the time to check out, so I do.
Yeah. Trump economics: when paying taxes, property is worth $2 million. When borrowing money, it's worth $1 billion. No, I think you got that backwards. I think you inflate it when you're going to borrow, and you deflate it when you pay taxes. So.
Well, the importance of this whole issue is, you brought it up real quick with the case. As you know, the two boys have testified. Trump's on Monday, his daughter's Wednesday to testify. You have to show harm. And so for the judge and the Attorney General of New York to accuse him of inflating his properties only worked to the benefit of the state because he had to pay more taxes. So wait till Trump's attorneys bring in all the bankers and explain this to everybody. You know, they have these people called actuaries, and an actuary estimates the value of something and the risk for insurance companies and banks. So, this is one of those times when, you know, you think that if a judge is able to do this in a private, you know, it's not a criminal case. It's, you know, it's a case against him personally. That would be the only thing that would explain why it might take time to appeal it. Although, in this case, if this judge makes some pretty wacky determinations, like wanting to put him in jail, you know, I think his lawyers will go right to the Supreme Court with that. I mean, you can't have that happening in your country. It's too absurd. There's 5 justices that are conservative on your Supreme Court, and any one of them can be approached to take it to the rest of the court. And I can't see the 5 not wanting to hear it immediately and ending it. You know, they'd have to meet in their Friday afternoon discussion about it, and it's got to be dealt with as quickly as possible. They can't let it go on. The Supreme Court can't let it go on for 1 or 2 or 3 years. That's absurd.
Yeah. Let's see about IRS funding. Assuming that citizens of higher incomes and their accountants are cheating the IRS is a highly speculative presumption at best. Stating that wealthy citizens are more likely to cheat sounds a lot more like discrimination based on income. Well, I will tell you that the Internal Revenue Service has a middle to high income division. 20% of all corporations are audited every year
on a rotating basis.
So the other thing you've got to realize is that when a CEO signs off on a tax return, they can no longer blame it on the accountant. That law went away several years ago. We talked about it here on the air.
Yeah.
So when the CEO signs that tax return, or whoever signs it, the ignorance of the accountant's practices is no excuse.
Yeah, a couple of factors learned about that. Look, the other problem you have with the IRS too is it's in-house policy that if they audit someone, they will audit them for a minimum of 2 more years. So if you get audited, they'll check you for a couple of years. So the interesting thing about it is that if you get audited, you just find a lawyer an accountant that knows the IRS procedures of delay, because there's a big book of delay procedures. You know, like, I'm not well. He can't meet then. I can't meet with you. I'm busy.
Well, I don't think the IRS will take those excuses. I've been audited.
They do.
I was audited
they
3.
Have to.
I was audited 3 times the first 5 years I was here, and so no, they tell you when to come in, and you better be there.
And what was the result? Did you pay anything more?
One was a wash. One I owed. One they owed me. So it was.
Okay, so they're not going to audit you again now.
I haven't been audited since. So.
That's right. I just said that 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times is a charm, I guess. Maybe it's it's 3 strikes you're out or whatever. So.
No, it's 3 gold stars because they tagged you and they don't want to get no stars. So.
All right.
You want to get a gold star?
From our text line 4788298. Trump ripped off banks for $250 million because he inflated his assets to get lower rates. If we did that, we would be in jail. I don't think the assets have anything to do with your rates. No. Your credit rating has a great deal to do with your rate.
Well, of course it does.
Yeah.
But the bottom line to it is, did he pay the banks back?
Yeah.
And were they happy? And the answer is yes, 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 in all cases, because he learned from the mistakes he made in the casino operation he had of two things. Number one, he didn't have a Chinese wall properly created, which,
Yeah.
he thought he did. His accountants and lawyers didn't do so well with that, and they were people in the industry that were recommended to him. And then he lost his whole team in a helicopter crash for his casino operation. The second thing is that what you learn in a case like that is to create a brand, which he came up with for the Trump organization, which we discussed. It's a cash cow now. It's a brand to pay him to use his name. And aside from the properties he has, which have been tenuous at best because of COVID, we all know that, but he hasn't had to borrow anything because he has such a cash flow. It's like $500 million a year in cash. So
Yeah.
It more than makes up for any bumps in the road for him.
Yeah. Well, when I bought my first car, Shane, my father took out a couple life insurance policies when I was a baby. And over the 20 years or so, they matured, and they were both worth $500. So I cashed those policies in, got $1,000 cash, went down to the bank, and I said, here's $1,000 cash. Here's 2 insurance policies that are worth $1,000. Give me a car loan, and they did. Now, did I break the law? I paid the car off.
No.
Did I break the law? I may have.
No.
I may have fudged on my collateral. I may have overvalued what my collateral was, but who was hurt in that transaction?
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody was hurt. And
so, yeah.
And with this Ponzi scheme of the Bitcoin King being convicted on all 7 accounts, he's probably going to spend 60, 70 years or whatever, the rest of his life in jail because of it. But the other side of this is that, there's a industry that we've talked about before called the insurance annuity. And the big deal about the insurance annuity is twofold. One, it's completely unregulated. So, 2, you can negotiate an annuity that you buy from an insurance company, depending on how much money you put up, as to the return you get. And as I've explained in some detail over the years, that's how these major sports in your country grew and were built on insurance annuities. So a billionaire wants a player, and the player wants, $100 million contract. So the billionaire goes to his annuity insurer, and he says, okay, I want an annuity on this guy's life. So then, they value the risk of his health and everything, put the contract together. And then he says, and I want 20% on the $100 million annuity I'm buying from him. So there, he gets $20 million a year to pay this guy, for 5 years, $20 million.
Yeah.
Oh, and the great third thing is, guess what? No income tax to the billionaires for the money that he gets. So it's a nice little box that your government has put in under the Christmas tree every year for your sports, and this happens in every major league. So don't worry, those multi-million-dollar or $100 million, like the guy from the Bengals, right? He got $100 million contract, right? That quarterback. Okay. So the owner had to buy a $500 million annuity, and he gets 20% a year to pay the guy, or after the guy's contract's up, which is about 5, 10, 20, he gets his money back. So it's a great deal.
From our text line, 4788298, if you have more collateral, banks give you a better rate. This isn't hard to figure out. Trump inflated his assets to get lower bank rates. He ripped them off. That's what he does. So you're telling me that the bank just takes his numbers, no problem. The bank says, "Oh, if you say that's worth that much, no problem. I'm down with that loan."
No, they don't. He goes to the bank and says, "I want to borrow X amount of money for this property," and they go, "Well, let us evaluate it." And they
Yeah.
go to their own accountants and their own,
I was going to say, do you think they just pass out millions of bucks based on somebody's say-so of what a property's worth? Give me a break.
No. And no one's going to overpay for a property, although Trump did it purposely because of what he wanted to build on it.
Yeah.
So if you borrow the money, if you borrow, from the bank more than you need for the property to pay for, or you pay more for the property, the bank says yes. They know that he's coming back to him with another, for another loan of 2 or 3 times bigger to build something on it. And that's capitalism, baby.
Yeah. Well, that's why I tell people want to start their own business and get a business loan. Get a year's worth of your household expenses in that loan. If you're going to build a business until it's break even level, you still have to pay the rent and groceries and kids' school and whatever else you're doing. So it's better to borrow more and not need it than it is to borrow less and find yourself in trouble.
And it's sad because commercial real estate has the dirty word, of being able to devalue over time their property, and so they get to write it off. But to people that own private property don't get that opportunity. They should. But it doesn't go down in value. Anyway, the bottom line is that's the way it works.
Okay.
It's called depreciation.
Yeah, that's true. All right. That's going to wrap it up for this first hour. We still got to talk about, the rating or the polls for Sheehy and Tester and Rosendale. I'll get it in a minute. And we got to talk about Sheehy's investments right after this. 7 minutes after the hour of 9 a.m. Mountain Time. It's Saturday. It's November 4th, 2023. Happy to have you along with Tom and Shane on Saturday morning. The Bobcats are going to take on Northern Arizona at the stadium today. They are 7.5-point favorites, and that'll be at 1 o'clock today on our sister station, 100.7 on your FM dial, or 100.7. I'm sorry. We're 95.1 FM. I forgot to mention that. So, Shane, what a day, huh? We're having fun, aren't we?
Always. I mean, it's just the whole world's a busy place for us to talk about.
Well, Tim Sheehy released his personal finance disclosure. And by the way, Shane, I think we've talked about this before. But what a lot of people don't realize is that all politicians for federal government and their staff, for that matter, I didn't know it was the staff was included, Shane, but the staff too. Anyone serving in public office, running for public office, they've got to make a financial disclosure. And Trump has done this every year he was in office. He has to itemize and submit to the election commission all sources of income. And his was 104 pages the last time I looked of sources of income. So,
he's sort of a busy guy, isn't he?
He is a busy guy, so. But anyway, Tim Sheehy running for Senate, the current Republican frontrunner in the party's effort to topple longtime Democrat John Tester. Boy's got a lot of business holdings and is a pretty wealthy guy, actually, Shane. If he's elected, he could be one of the wealthier guys in Congress. But he's the CEO of the Belgrade-based aerial firefighting company Bridger Aerospace. He earns about $7 million a year in non-investment income, $5 million of which comes from his salary at Bridger. His total net worth, buoyed by between $16 million and $44 million in dividends from investments, is between $74 and $200 million, which would make him one of Congress's wealthiest members if he's elected. So members,
and the great thing is the woke hates him because he's a capitalist.
Well, that's
but
true.
They love Biden because he's a grifter.
Right.
The woke loves grifters, right?
They certainly do. Well, as I said earlier, members of Congress, their senior staff, candidates for federal offices, and other top officials must disclose their personal finances annually, as required by the Ethics in Government Act of 1978. So a candidate or lawmaker's investment income and the value of their assets are reported in ranges, hence the width of the estimates of Sheehy's worth, because stocks vary, the price of property varies, Shane, so it's an estimate between the low and the high, I guess, of what the things are worth.
That's right. And if the person in the House or the Senate's put on like an intelligence committee, that means his whole staff has to go through
they got to go through the same
review
thing,
process and get clearance. That's above their pay grade. Doesn't matter. They still need a grade.
That's for sure. Let's see. She owns properties in Big Sky and Polson. He's got a home in Bozeman. He's got rental units and a stake in the Little Belt Cattle Company he founded with a co-partner back in 2020. His business adventures range from the mildly amusing between $1,000 and $15,000 in Roblox Corporation, a developer of a kid-oriented video game in the same name, and to the potentially political problematic, especially in the context of both major parties, hawkishness toward China and Sheehy's own missed record on climate change. So he's invested, for example, between $250,000 and $500,000 in Penza Emerging Markets Value Fund, and that's a division of Alibaba, Shane. The Chinese, what am I thinking of? Amazon, yes, the Chinese Amazon. And he held stock in Tencent, another large Chinese corporation. And so, the guy's got he's got two nickels to rub together. He owns.
We would say on the street he has some chops.
He's got some chops, yeah. He also holds between $50,000 and $100,000 in Cloverly, a self-described sustainability as a service company with software that allows companies to measure and offset their carbon output. Wow, good for him. In July, critics dinged him for he had removed language from his website touting itself as fighting on the front lines of climate change. So of course that's fodder for the left. If you're not for climate change, oh my God, something wrong with you. I don't know what's going on there. So anyway. Tester, a farmer, and he's also chairs the Appropriations Committee. In fact, he was promised that position when he ran against Conrad Burns, Shane, way back when. If he would run,
it was some time ago.
They were going to put him on that committee, and eventually he would be the chair of it. Let's see. In 2022, he reported less than $4,000 in annual net investment income from his farm in Big Sandy. And from the state's public employee retirement system, Tester, a former Montana state legislature, is eligible for a state pension. His farmland is valued between $1 million and $5 million, and he owns between $50,000 and $100,000 worth of stock in American Electric Power, an investment-owned utility company. So there you go.
Nice. That's a nice drawdown. Well done, man.
So I think she could probably finance his own campaign if it came down to that. So
I would think that would be a fair assumption.
Yeah. Well, the new polls are out as to the I'm going to get it in a minute. The polls for Tester and Rosendale.
Seat, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and Tester. I got to pull that up because it's not the link's not working. So I'll get it here in just a second. While I'm looking at that, I'll remind you the Bobcats are going to take on Arizona State today at 1 o'clock at the stadium. All right, let's see polls.
And what's the temperature there today?
Right now we're 56. No, we're not at 56.
Wow.
That's not right. That's on the stupid computer screen here from Town Square Media. That'd be wrong. So, let's see. Well, anyway, the polling claims that of 418 likely Republican voters, 52% said they would support Rosendale, while 21% said they would support Sheehy. More than a quarter of respondents were undecided at this point. So, but the poll of general election shows the would-be nominees against Tester. Those likely voters would support Sheehy over Tester 46-42, Rosendale over Tester 46-43, and those respondents comprise 35% self-identified Republicans and 24% Democrats, with the rest unaffiliated for their to any party.
Yep, I'm afraid it'll come down to two places, right? Missoula and Flathead Valley.
Yeah. Well, it's way early, Shane, to even talk about this stuff. You know that, of course, and we're
whichever Republican wins the primary, the other guy's going to run for the House, isn't he?
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do that or not.
That'd be
Rosendale hasn't confirmed he's going to run for the Senate, but a lot of people think he will. I think he's probably biding his time, waiting till after the first of the year to see where actual polling is, and also to see how the early primaries go for Republicans, Democrats, and what the issues are. Now, obviously, we've got issues in Montana, but we also got national issues if you're running for national office.
Well, that might sound good, but it's all about money. So the longer he delays it, the less it costs him.
Well, that's true. And also, too, but the longer he waits, the more people get informed. And, I mean, you've seen this already. Pence dropped out. Pence couldn't get any money, from anybody.
He lied. The American people know he lied.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's one of the things.
He lied to them. He lied to the American people on the 6th of January.
Well,
that's
whatever.
it. Americans, listen, all of our listeners listen to you and me for 4 months explain that this has happened 3 times before in your country.
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson, John Adams Jr. too. And, so this is, people are learning with the internet in the 21st century to go and find out the truth, or listen to great programs like ours. We have it all.
Yeah.
Well, and we're on the record because you keep a library.
Well, I don't think Pence took any flack for lying or not lying. He's just not a great candidate for national recognition. He's milquetoast at best.
Yeah. He got elected vice president, so I disagree with you. But he went across the country, and this is so typical of a politician. So he's in Las Vegas at some casino in their ballroom to raise money for his campaign. To raise money. So these people all paid for their dinners to hear him speak, and he gets up and he goes, the Bible says there's a time for everything. I've traveled the country, and my wife and I and our family have prayed. This is not my time. No kidding. Because of all people that he depended on, they know he lied. People that are at risk of being.
What do you think he lied about?
The 6th of January.
What about it?
Trump wanted
what
to do.
lie? Give me the lie.
He said that he couldn't return delegates there for the electoral college back to their states to be reconsidered.
Well, he couldn't.
Of course he could. Yes, he can.
Well,
it's happened 3 times before. Give me a break.
Well, it hadn't happened in modern history. It hasn't happened in modern times.
That's not the point. It is the point. Is it legal or not? Well, of course it is, because the whole argument was it's not legal. And if by the way, a year after that happened, they changed the Democrats changed the rules so the vice president now can't do it.
Yeah.
So why would they change the rule to make it illegal for him to send electoral representatives back to their states to be reconsidered? Must have been legal, but he didn't do it. So he lied. And you can't go to Christians and say, gee, I lied to you, but I was trying to protect the country. No, you weren't. So if anyone wants to be blamed for the mess you're in right now, more than anyone, it's your ex-vice president.
So were any of the delegates who did vote, were they found to be uncertified or illegal or anything else?
Look at the decisions in this Wisconsin and Michigan. Go look at the state decisions of the courts there. It'll all come out when Trump gets, to Washington for his January 6th trial.
Okay. Well, I don't think it matters. I think it's a moot point, but I don't know. I don't remember hearing of anybody voting that shouldn't have voted, any delegate that was proven to be bogus or unlawful. If there are such a thing, send me the link.
It's in the past, and we covered it for months, and we talked about it when it happened. Go listen to our shows back then. If you think I'm wrong.
All right. Well, I don't recall anything like that going on, but that's just me. I'm old, I don't have a good memory anymore.
Well, that's why I have a library, so you can go check.
Okay. I'll look it up. I'll make it this week. Well, as long as we're talking about people's money, Shane, let's talk about the new Speaker of the House, Johnson. What do you think? What do you think of this guy?
Terrific.
Yeah. Well, he's a nightmare for the Democrats, that's for sure.
Well, that's not true. You're just using woke talking points. Look, he isn't any different than a Nancy Pelosi or any other Speaker of the House. It's his job to manage the House and manage the legislation that comes to the floor. It's his job to appoint the committee heads, who in turn pick people to be on the committee with his permission. He also negotiates with the president and the majority and minority leaders of the Senate. He's one of the big six, and he's third in line to the president. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness! What I just said, that must be a busy day.
Yeah, well, but Nancy wasn't anti-LGBT, and Nancy wasn't anti-abortion, which this guy is.
People don't care. People don't care, Tom.
Well, they cared in 2020 for the election. They sure cared in the midterms.
2020?
2022 they cared in the midterms. They cared about abortion a lot.
No, we both agree that was that was abortion. But now you just switched it. Is it LGBT that made the decision or abortion? It was abortion. You and I both.
Well, it was, yeah. And that's what I said.
And that idiot South Carolina senator that brought it up, 3 weeks before the election, that elect a Republican Senate and we'll put legislation forth, about abortion. Yeah. He's the one who ruined it for the Republican Party. So there you go.
I seriously doubt there is a groundswell of Democrats that heard him say anything.
He was all over the television. He was all over every woke network. Like, they kept playing his loop all the time.
Was he on The Voice?
Lindsey Graham.
Was he on Masked Singer?
They had it everywhere. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Lindsey Graham lost the election in 2029.
Okay, well, I think the Supreme Court lost the election, but it didn't have anything to do with what he said. More people heard about the Supreme Court decision than heard Lindsey Graham say anything.
Yeah, but they were just misinformed. All they heard was they overturned Roe versus Wade.
That's right.
They did, in fact, do that because it was a terrible piece of legal
doesn't matter
writing. See what I mean?
Well, it doesn't matter to the people who are uninformed and vote. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the reason.
The people that were uninformed didn't know that what they did to cover their backs, which was somewhat smart, somewhat stupid, but they said it goes back to the states based on your Constitution, 14th and the 14th.
And between now and 2024, the swing states are going to decide on where their stand is on abortion, and the Republic is going to take it in the shorts in November. That's my prediction.
Well, I don't know. That was your prediction last time, and you were right.
All right. Let's take a phone call. 406-522-TALK is the number, 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's going on?
All right. I'll try to keep it short.
All right.
Quick things. The voting issue.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes down to, yes, of course, there was fraud in every state, probably in every county in the whole frickin' country. The videos are coming out of some people stuffing ballot boxes up in Connecticut where they just had to overturn an election. Just because you don't see it on video doesn't mean it ain't happening,
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. So the only people who complain about any type of laws that are going to stop illegal voting are the people who do it. I've never complained about a law that wants to make voting more secure because I only vote once because I'm a good person, or at least I try to be. Okay, second thing. The only thing they had bad to say about Jim Jordan was that he loved the Constitution, so he didn't get in. Now this guy gets in, and the only thing they can say bad about him is that he loves God and he's Christian. I'll take that any day of the week over the crap we had with McCarthy from California.
Well, I'll give you one better. The reason they didn't pick these other gentlemen, and Jordan was one of them, is because they told the Republican caucus that they were not going to spend as much time as other, leader. You've got a phone ringing again, Tom.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
They didn't spend it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There you go.
They said they weren't going to spend as much time raising money, and that's a dirty little truth. And I did get that from a couple of people that know some Republicans outside of Montana. That their representatives happened to tell them that. The big job of the Speaker of the House, because of his position, is to go out and do the grifting for members of Congress, which that's the one thing that Pelosi and even McCarthy were famous for.
Yeah, right. I agree with you. I'm just glad that that's what the dirt they have on this guy is that he's a Christian and he loves God and he loves his family. It's like, oh no. And the third thing I want to end with, I know we're about to go to break. I think it's going to be awesome watching all these political ads over the next year, and then by the time the election gets here, it's going to be canceled. That's what my money's on. Have a good day, guys.
There you go. All right, thanks for the call. Perfect timing. We're up against the bottom of the hour, Shane, so.
There you go, buddy.
All right, man. All right, we'll be back with more of this exciting show this morning, so don't go away. Hey, don't forget, BozemanMagazine.com. Bozeman's Reader Choice is out there. Tom and Shane are up for several awards, and we would appreciate your vote very much. Go to BozemanMagazine.com, and on the black bar at the top of the page, you'll see Bozeman's Choice. Click on that, and it'll take you over to the various categories they have. Tom and Shane are media and info, and we're up for several awards there that you will see. So we would appreciate very much if we could count on your support, because all of our competition's on 5 days a week. We only have this lowly 3 hours to make a statement. So we hope that you will help us make that statement and put us in the running. We'll be right back. 27 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Saturday. It's November 4th, 2023. And Tom and Shane on the air. Arizona State is going to visit the Bobcat Stadium out there today at 1 o'clock. That'll be on our sister station, 100.7 FM, on your FM dial, 100.7. So if you want to check out the Cats, Cats are 6-2. Northern Arizona's 3-5. Cats are 7.5-point favorites to win that contest. For our text line, 478-8298, Shane makes a logical argument. If the VP couldn't send the votes back to the states, why did the Democrats change the law to prevent that in the future? All right. I guess you're vindicated.
One texter, you know, one texter, and it's all net.
It's all net, yeah. The Supreme Court of the United States let us down when they refused to look at the constitutional issue of Pennsylvania's Supreme Court went against the state legislature. So
now, this is important.
Yeah.
Because they are waiting for the right case to come before them to consider. You know, it took 20 years for the liberal left and the abortion enthusiasts to wait for the right case to create Roe versus Wade.
Mm-hmm.
And then they stretched it. They expanded the decision in lower courts from women having rights of equal pay to having the right to equal choice. And that's just bad law.
Well, it is. I agree with the point. I think it should be up to the states, not the federal government, what goes on in your bedroom or what goes on in your hospital room or whatever. And I know there are some states that are going to, okay all abortions, and some are going to restrict no abortions. So
right.
That's where we find ourselves. What it comes down to for this particular election, because that's all going to be decided before 2024. And that's the problem.
I don't know that that's a problem.
Well,
what's wrong? If a state wants to kill babies, let them kill babies.
Yeah, but
there's nothing you can do about it.
But the Democrats are going to go out and support that hard, and they're going to vote for the president who thinks that way as well. So it's a one, we shouldn't have elections that are one issue, Shane. But that's what it's going to be. That's what it was in 2022. It was a one election. It was a one issue.
That's right. Because 2016 was Hillary walking on the White House lawn and shooting the Pope.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, Shane, there's no evidence that Trump beat Hillary. And as I said before that election, you're going to get the first woman president, you're going to get the first husband and wife president, and you're going to get Bill back in the White House. You'd be an idiot not to elect Hillary, but they didn't. So there has to be fraud, Shane. There has to be. I'm sorry.
Well, 1960 president election was decided in Chicago, 50,000 votes, and since 2000, 5 states.
There you go.
50,000 share votes in each state, right through it to Romney. Romney could have beat Obama. He was close.
Well, the only reason Romney didn't beat is because every election the Republicans sit on their hands, and the Democrats don't.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, that's it. They stay home. They don't care. They just don't.
I don't think so.
Democrats are emotional. Republicans are logical. It's
Trump
simple.
Got more votes for a sitting president in history, and that was pretty amazing. But the reality is you're at 160 million eligible voters in your country, which has happened over the last 20 years, 30 years because of millennials and Z. And they are voting. So, used to be you were looking at 35 to 38, 42% eligible voters in your country voted in the presidential election. Now it's in the 60s.
Well, if the swing states have resolutions on their ballots regarding abortion, it's not going to be good for Republicans. We got to take a phone call. 406-522-TALK is the number. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. Thanks for waiting. What's up?
Yeah, good morning, guys. I just wanted to chime in on the Sheehy and
yeah, sure.
Tester deal. You know, we just got our new rural electric co-op magazine we get monthly, and they got Big John picture on the front of his combine like he's out working on the farm, which he ain't doing. But anyway, you can tell exactly where he's going with his eating issues there in Washington, D.C., but that's another point. But the thing is, I just soon have somebody in there that has worked their business and made their money, and they're not going to be after the grift like Tester and Biden have been and stuff, too. And I've seen these dark ads come out there that Sheehy is, taking money to the Cayman Islands and stuff. Well, how many of them are doing that? Do they investigate Pelosi for inside trading and everything? I don't care what he did. I feel that he's somebody just like Trump and Gianforte and the rest of them. He can't be bought off, and that probably makes him more matter than anything. And I just say hopefully he does well, because he's done well in life and he's worked for it. And if he's made some mistakes along the way, like they all have, good for him. But he's got the money, and he don't have to worry about somebody paying him off on something like we got in there right now. And Tester's a pitiful sight when you look at that magazine right now, that and the things that he says he's looking out for his grandkids and stuff. Well, closing down the Keystone Pipeline and all this other stuff that he's been voting for and flip-flopping the flat top on is just pathetic. So anyway, that's my rant for the day, Sky. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
And I agree with him. Here's why. There's been less than a dozen sessions or a dozen years in your history where a single senator had control, literally. Tester did. He didn't want a legacy. He didn't want to protect Montana. He didn't want to make extra money and revenue for Montana. He didn't want to make the United States oil independent. And I can continue down the list. So there's something else had to dissuade him for not voting for Montana. And sorry, grifter is the right word.
All right. From our text line, 478-8298, huge hotel conference center breaking ground at MSU behind the engineering building. With all the building and lack of space, we will have flooding. Then we can blame it on climate change. Where does all the water go? Not to mention our wildlife. Well,
all those in the Missouri.
Yeah. Well, as I've said before, all of New York used to look like Central Park. So keep that in mind. Have you been to Central Park, Shane?
Oh, yeah, a number of times. But more importantly, I've been to the upper headwaters, the total upper headwaters of the Yellowstone River.
Yeah.
As a child, my father took me there. And we got there by horse.
Yeah.
When we got there, he took some water from the east side, jumped it on the west side of the divide. That goes to the Pacific. But this all goes to the Caribbean.
Yeah. All right.
And that's when I fell in love with geology and, maps and mapping, topography, and everything. It was, what a fantasy. What an amazing thing to see and learn. And still am, because they're still learning stuff. Wow.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Every reputable constitutional lawyer says Pence had no authority to reject certified votes. So in 2024, Harris can send votes back to states until they send the votes she likes. Is that how it works?
No, they changed the law.
Yeah.
He didn't reject. He just didn't accept. That's what a vice president do. Every elector, like every senator, like every congressman, goes to the head in the well and hands them a vanilla envelope of their accreditations.
Mm-hmm.
And he either accepts them and they become a senator or a congressman or a member of the Electoral College, or he doesn't. But this is not complicated.
No, it's not. Yeah.
And so if he doesn't accept an electoral's, document, then they got to go back home and have them go through the process of being reissued. And that's what's happened 3 times before. I mean, Jefferson, when 1800, it took him 3 months to pick him.
Well, there was no communication back then either. So.
No.
Everything was by Pony Express. Horse and carry. Or horse and carry.
Yeah, it was horse and carry. So, that's right. You're right.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let's be clear. Congress, including Republicans, voted on a law to clarify how the Electoral College votes are certified. They did this so they would never be another doubt about what the vice president power is. Otherwise, I can't just send back the ballots until she gets the vote she wants. I'm in the whole point of sending the votes back to the states after they were certified. Trump wanted the states to change the certification. And, I think that's...
Well, that's another way of explaining it.
Yeah, that was kind of what he wanted to do.
But it's totally legal, and we discussed that for months.
Yeah, we did.
From the election day to then.
Mm-hmm.
I had a list.
Yeah.
We covered every week.
Yeah.
We had 4 things that he could do, and we went through each one as the months passed.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last one.
Yeah, and we've said on record many, many times that every election has some level of fraud somewhere. It's just, you're talking about millions of people doing this. So there's always a suspicion that there's some sort of fraud somewhere. However, not enough fraud was proven to overturn this past election, or any election for that matter. So if you want
we also discussed that 2 of the largest states in your country, Texas and Florida, have updated their procedures for people to vote.
Yeah.
And in Florida, for example, they doubled the number of locations for people to vote at. And within 2 hours after the end of the election day, they reported their results, same as in Texas.
Yeah.
So if it's 2 of the largest state economies and populations in the country can do it, it's like the Iowa caucus.
Yeah.
The Democrats don't care because we still don't know who won it in 2020.
Yeah, I know. Still haven't counted the votes yet, so. From our text line 4788298, I voted no on all. The cases against Trump are sorry. Too bad America is not free anymore. So there you go.
Well, I tend to disagree with that. And the Reagan question is fair. Are you better off, today than you were 4 years ago? And the answer is no. Are you less free today than you were 4 years ago? No, you're the same. They abuse the opportunity of infringing upon your freedoms, but as hard as they try, they haven't been able to get rid of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution.
Yeah. Well, that's I don't know, man. It's bad. So.
Well, if you don't enforce the laws, it's happening everywhere in your country, every city.
Yeah.
They're not enforcing the laws, and your urban cities are collapsing, and with that, they take their state, because of what's going on. You now have the mayor of New York and Chicago asking Biden for $5 billion to cover the cost of what kind of city are they?
Yeah.
Well, what's it called?
Yeah, right.
A special city.
Yeah. A sanctuary city.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm here to help, Shane. You know that, right?
Yeah, I'm just a fly on the wall.
There you are. All right. Well, let's see. Well, we've got a ballot issue in West Yellowstone. Shane, they are going to repeal the marijuana ban. Repealing the marijuana ban will be on West Yellowstone ballots, so you can smoke to your heart's content in West Yellowstone if it's done by the voters, I guess. So.
Well, the interesting thing about that, the people that use this product don't vote.
Well, that's true. Yeah. They're too high to vote. There you go. Their election last week, I forgot all about it. Yeah. So what's the deal with marijuana in Canada?
It's legal.
Legal?
In Vancouver, our prime minister has made all drugs legal.
Yeah, all drugs?
It's our...
All drugs?
Yep, all drugs. Yep.
Heroin? Ecstasy? LSD?
We're losing 2,500 to 3,000 people a year in Vancouver from overdose.
So heroin's legal, ecstasy's legal, LSD's legal?
Yep.
Really?
That's the way he decided to solve it.
Throughout Canada. I knew that they were doing that in Oregon.
No, it's exceptions. There's zones.
In Canada?
Yeah.
Oh, so you can shoot up in a zone?
Yeah.
Okay. So you get zoned in the zone, I guess. Huh?
They delegate it.
Okay.
To avoid it. Wherever it's bad, becomes a zone of freedom. Libertarians love it.
All right. From our text line, 4788298, on another ballot issue that may be coming down to a voting booth near you. On the local level, I'm voting no on Central Valley Fire District's bid for additional levies for this reason. As the population increases, so does the revenues from a broader tax base. There you go.
And if they haven't overvalued the property, then they're not paying enough for the taxes you need.
Well, yeah. So that's it. I don't know if you saw this or not, Shane. I don't think I sent it to you. Somebody parked a camper at the Justice or the Safety Center here in Bozeman on Rouse, the new police station, fire station, the Taj Mahal looking place down there that they built for the judges and all of that stuff. So somebody parked a camper in there and said that you could rent the camper. First month's free, $25 a month after that. So you rent the camper sitting on the parking lot of the safety center. So yeah, I think
and it's $25 to cover the parking validation.
Well, yeah. So there you are. Don't know if they've got any. I don't know if they got any charging stations in there, Shane. I don't know. I guess. Well, you could just empty the waste on the parking lot there. Why not? Be all right, I guess.
You're great.
I don't know. Well, I apologize. IBM, pain in the ass that they are, is not letting me into the chat line. So I apologize to anybody who's trying to chat with us on the AM 1450 KMMS app, because IBM is I wish I had the beep sound, when you cross. I wish I had that beep, beep. They suck.
Now tell the engineer to sign you up for Watson.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I don't know. But I'm done with those guys. So. All right. Well, another news, Shane. Guess what? McConnell and Johnson don't see eye to eye on everything. New Speaker Mike Johnson, in a meeting with the Senate GOP conference Wednesday, laid out a stark difference with Mitch McConnell over key elements of the year-end strategy, signaling the challenges the two leaders face in the weeks ahead. Johnson rejected McConnell's arguments made in private and public that U.S. aid to Israel should be tied to military aid to Ukraine and security assistance for Taiwan and provisions to boost security along the U.S.-Mexican border. To tie all those things together, Shane, which are totally unrelated, I think is stupid. It's just a way to fleece the taxpayer.
Correct. And your new leader will send legislation on an individual basis to the Senate to consider.
Yeah.
He promised the rest of the Republicans that's what they do. Number one. Number two, McConnell is another elder that shouldn't be in the position that he's in. But regrettably, that's how the Senate caucus of Republicans voted.
No.
The interesting thing is that once he completes the other 30% of funding, there'll be no need for a continued resolution, and that scares the hell.
Yeah, that's the issue. Well, we haven't had a budget. I don't think we had a budget since 2009. I think the last.
Well,
we actually had one, but.
It'll be a budget by resolution.
Well, that's what I mean.
And they hate it for two reasons. There's nowhere to hide thieving money.
Yeah.
And number two, the American people will see that it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah. Well, the speaker insisted to GOP senators that Israel aid will move separately from Ukraine funding, arguing that it couldn't otherwise pass the House. And I would agree with that. But Johnson said that he would bring up the Ukraine after the House voted. And as we all know, Shane, if you're going to appropriate money, all money bills start in the House.
That's right. Another issue here, they want to bury these three together so any individual one isn't rejected. You don't need more money for the border. It's a lie. Okay, you have all the funds you need to close your border, and closing the border will send you hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Two, Ukraine isn't your issue.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be paid for it. Americans see that. You're providing them the equipment. Excuse me. And to hide the money that you're sending to Ukraine to pay for salaries of the government because they have no income. They're not telling you that. Your president got on and lied, said that they're just replacing what they're giving
the Ukrainians from the Pentagon. But over 50 billion a year is going to Ukraine so that they have a government because they have no revenues. And then again, a third factor is that the situation in Israel, they don't want to put the hammer on the Democrats in Jewish districts or states rather, and forcing them to vote because they don't care about them. And, they would rather reduce the amount being given to Israel. And if they could, not do it at all. But we'll see how it ends up.
All right. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Hey, don't forget, the Bobcats are taking on Northern Arizona Lumberjacks at 1 o'clock out at the stadium. The Cats are 6-2. Northern Arizona's 3-5. Cats are 7.5-point favorites. That'll be on our sister station, XL Country, 100.7 on your FM dial. So tune in to that. And also, don't forget Bozeman Magazine Reader's Choice. Shane and I are up for several categories there. Go to bozemanmagazine.com, click on Bozeman's Choice in the black banner at the top of the page, and go to Media and Info and vote for Tom and Shane. We'll be back with more right after the news at the top of the hour. Welcome back, everyone. 7 minutes after the hour of 10 a.m. It's Saturday. It's November the 4th, 2023. Jamin Taubman, half man, half amazing, is in Kamloops, Canada. Tommy Gullip, your morning mayor, in the house. And Trump's the only president in the 75-year history of Gallup to never reach 50% in job approval. He bungled prevention response and then ignored the pandemic, leading to over 500,000 deaths. And you could add the 700,000 that died under Biden to that. Tell me again how this twice impeached job killer disaster of a president had the election stolen by over 7 million votes. Well, he didn't have the election stolen by 7 million votes. Come on. Are you talking, Shane, or what? See, when I stop talking, that's when you start.
I know. Please, you don't need to say that.
Well,
I don't know where you want me to go, so there you are.
Well, you can comment on the voting.
We've covered it. Let's talk about something. Let's talk about money.
Now, when you say we've covered it, you got to remember that people come and go with this program. And not everybody listens all day, every day. So when we bring up things that we brought up before, we still talk about. Okay? Sorry.
Well, I'm not going to comment to that, so.
Okay.
But thank you, Eagle Man. I appreciate you. Appreciate the update.
Well, I'm just keeping the listeners.
Let's talk about Putin, because that's interesting, though.
Well, we will. Sent me. We'll talk about it in a minute. But first, I'm going to read a text, and then you're going to work on it, and I'm going to read some other text, and then I'm going to come back to you. All right?
Okay.
You okay on that? Here's the text.
100%.
Okay. $1.6 trillion worth of bonds has to be sold in the next 6 months. Is that true? Hold your answer. I'm going to read a couple other texts. You look up everything you need to look up, and I'll be back to you.
Sure.
Okay? I'm better off than I was 4 years ago. My friends aren't dying around me from a virus, and I don't wake up wondering if a war was started because somebody insulted the president. Well, no wars were going on when Biden was when Trump was president. If you think you're better off today than you were 4 years ago, I've got this bridge you're going to really be interested in, because you're paying more for gas, you're paying more at everything. Inflation is eating up every raise you get. And when Trump left office, inflation was 1.6%. We've covered this over and over and over again. When will people understand Trump didn't win in 2016, Hillary lost, and Biden didn't win in 2020, Trump lost? People were voting against someone, and I agree with that. I think that's very true. I think that sums it up quite well.
Yes.
Let's see.
Again.
Mm-hmm. You got your. Are we going to have to sell?
Here we go, folks. So the question was, can your government raise the money? Of course they can. Real quick, the bond auction by the Treasury this week on the 2nd was 45-day, 75. 100,000 million billion, offered 26, and 13-week bill, 75 billion offered 26, and 91-day, 75 billion offered 26, and 30-year bond, 24 billion offered, and 8 billion taken. All of them were at 0.005. So, yes, as long as they can sell at least 50 billion a week, which they do between 50 and 70 billion, depending what they're offering, they can raise the money. But the difficulty is who's buying it, and the majority of it is people that have debt that they're rolling over on the international basis. The real issue, of course, is the interest rates. And as I said, the Fed wouldn't consider it this month because it's Christmas holiday season. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to interrupt the buying that Americans are still doing. They're still a consumer economy. They're saving themselves and the world. But he will raise them in December because he has to, because of the rate of inflation. But just to let everyone feel better, Turkey, who lost their Israeli ambassador, he was called home this month. They're having to pay 26% on the interest on the debt they have. And oddly enough, the big one, I think, is, of course, Russia. They're 12% on their debt. There's a couple, Brazil's really bad too, but the importance of all of this is that Brazil's at 11, Russia's, as I said, 12. We're at 3.7, so we're less than you. Look, we're in a stable but recessionary period. It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. Inflation is not going to be controlled. I suspect at least a half point increase by the Federal Reserve at the end of December, somewhere between a half and a full point. So we'll see where that goes. But he will raise it again in February or March because they'll have to. They have not gotten control of inflation.
Okay. Does the government have to sell $1.6 trillion worth of bonds in the next 6 months to stay stable?
Well, they constantly have to roll over their debt, so the answer is yes.
Okay.
So
But 1.6 trillion is realistic over a 6-month period, according to you.
Well, sure, because if you're selling 50 billion a week, that's 200 a month, and 6 months, that's 1.2.
Okay. You're just not the pretty face,
Or
are
if you
you?
pay, or actually 60 billion a week.
Yeah.
You know, that's 240 a month. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Okay. We're on the case, man. Let's see.
Well, we got the numbers, and no one talks about them. Like, that doesn't amaze you? I can't find anyone on any network, on any financial. They all have comments about the Fed rate and of this and the recessionary and the real estate market, but not in the entire economy. But they don't talk about the facts. It's just.
Yeah, I know. It's embarrassing, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Biden's doubled the deficit since he took office, and what do we care?
No one cares. Yeah, exactly. It's a sad situation.
Okay, I'm better off than I was 4 years ago. I'm earning more. Stock market all-time high. No, it isn't. My 401 is doing well. Really? All our allies are not laughing at us. If you think our allies are not laughing at us, you're out of touch, man. You're way out of touch. If you don't think
you're not.
If you don't think the leaders of the world don't sit around and send each other Biden's gaffes on every speech he makes, you're in dreamland.
Yeah. He couldn't even get our prime minister's name right this week. If you don't believe us, go look at the numbers. Your government releases all these numbers. We don't make them up. Number one. Number two, it's interesting because, clearly a woke person. Well, you're not a woke. You're asleep. They should call it. It shouldn't be called woke. It should be sleep easy.
Yeah. Inflation's now lower. No, it's not. Lower than the global average. I don't care about the global average. What I care about is what happens when I walk in the grocery store with my shopping cart. That's what I care about, or when I pull up to the gas pump.
And clearly, whoever sent that to you doesn't understand the dirty little secret. They only report the core inflation rate, which is down marginally.
Yeah.
And, being at, 4.5%?
On top of the 8 before.
But they don't add the 8 to 10% of food and gas. So, please, read something.
If you've got more at the end of the month, then I got to know where you're shopping at. So, let's see. And it's all because of Joe Biden and John Tester, if you listen to Aaron. Debbie Downer Shane has been predicting a recession for 3 years. Hasn't happened. So much for predictions.
Not true. The earnings per share stock crash started in October of last year. We said it first. It happened. 85% of the stocks trading in your country, 12,000, are down. Over 50% are down. Over 50%. You can't have a few dozen stocks, and we know them all, that they talk about all the time, that are holding up a false market. I've been through the cycles 5 times since '72. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And look, you can't call the commercial real estate industry in a recession and go sector by sector. Oh, this one's in recession. Even the electric car manufacturing situation is collapsing, and the unions made deals with their bosses at Ford and GM and so forth, because they finally listened to what Trump was saying, and their jobs are going to be gone in 25 years, which leads us to electric flying taxis. Come on, you promised you'd bring it up, so we're running out of time. Say something.
About what? We got plenty of time.
License. Look, the first commercial license has been approved, and electric flying vehicles are the thing of the future. It will create over 700,000 jobs worldwide by 2050. It'll save the world economy, and it'll be a $1.5 to $2 trillion market within 10 to 15 years. It will be the equivalent of the personal computer from 1982 to now. And it'll be the fifth industrial revolution in your country. What a cycle. You'll have kept it going into your 250th year.
You think so? Okay.
It's already started.
All right. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this.
It's 22. It's 23, and it's happening now.
Yeah.
Go.
Let's talk about this Chinese drone, as I call it.
Sure.
It holds two people, right? Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We try to answer. I mean, I'm not asking hard questions here.
Yeah. Plus the pilot and co-pilot, 4 people.
No, there's no pilot and co-pilot in what you sent me.
I know, but for right now, they will be sat in seats. But
the thing you sent me only has 2 seats in it.
That's what they're marketing, yes. But
okay.
there'll be 4, 6 seats. Eventually,
we're talking about right now. This thing has 2 seats. It has a range of 18 miles, depending on the wind and weather and whatever else is going on. And it's going to be controlled by someone on the ground, and they're expecting people to climb into this thing with no pilot, no co-pilot, no one else, and fly to wherever. Now, I was thinking about this thing if it were in Bozeman, Shane, and I'm at the station here, right in the middle of downtown Bozeman here, right behind the Baxter Hotel. I have no clue. Well, the closest landing place I can think of is where the Best Western Hotel used to be up on Main Street, which gives me about a 6 or 7 block walk to work. Carry my heavy briefcase and all my equipment and everything I need to put on the show, Shane. What am I going to do? They going to put a rope ladder on this thing so it'll hover and I can climb down the rope ladder to get to where I'm going. Sorry about that. Should turn my phone off.
Oh, you want to turn your phone off?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have some personal experience with this. In 1996, a good friend of mine who was a pilot, he'd been flying for over 35 years for an airline with 3,700 pilots, and he was number 6 in seniority. I had the pleasure of sitting in the 5th seat a number of times, flying out of Toronto.
Yeah.
And the moment he lifted it off the ground, he took his hands off and put it on autopilot. And all night long, we flew across Canada, and then just outside of Vancouver, over Kamloops, he turned north to swing in out over the ocean. And he took his hands off the controls as we approached Vancouver National Airport. And he didn't pick up the controls until he was over the end of the runway, only to hold them because the plane landed itself. Now, that was in 96. I had the opportunity to experience that 6 times in my life. So this isn't something new. It's like I said about IBM and, their AI computer. It's Watson. All this stuff's been around. It's been, improved and perfected. The big problem Boeing had with its brand new Starliner that everyone's buying now, they're more orders than anything to replace a plane in the history of the industry, and it's all AI. And that was the problem that caused the crashes and problems with overheating because of the programming the FAA allowed them to use. And no one wants to talk about it because no one wants to admit the planes aren't flown by pilots. So all these things are going to change over the next 35 years. Hopefully in my lifetime, I'd like to think I'll be here.
Well, are you going to get into, one of the challenges they've already indicated they have is people getting into something there's nobody flying it. It's flying electronically. Once they get over that hurdle, that may happen. Now, New York City has 13,000 taxi cabs, Shane. You're going to have 13,000 planes flying around New York City. Aren't they isn't part of New York a no-fly zone anyway? Because of 9/11?
There's 10 to 12,000 commercial flights over your country.
I understand that, but not over major cities.
You shouldn't talk over me when I want to talk.
Okay,
and then there's another 20,000 privately owned planes that fly over your country. So that's 35,000 planes that are flying all the time over your country, and they don't collide and haven't. There've been near collisions. There've been a couple of collisions, but that's been human error.
Yeah.
All of this has to be worked out. It's no different than what they had to do to work out self-driving cars and electric cars, and everything has to be tested and worked out to work the bugs out. That's what goes on in capitalism. You work it till you get it right, and that's the answer. And we're coming up on the end of the hour, aren't we?
Coming up. Got time for one more call. 406-522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Call, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, boys.
Hey.
Right on down here.
What's up?
Hey,
all right, our fact checker.
Jane, your vinification is beyond belief. So I got to give you super credit. But then we got Tom. His hate for flying vehicles and technology in that area has got to stop. I made stuff that will pass anything and everything and not just go 18 miles. Not just go 18 miles. We're talking like 500 miles plus. So the technology is around the corner. It's here. I have it. I already have it. So,
I have no problem with the technology being here, John. I know the technology is here. The problem I have, Shane just gave us the number of flights flying around the nation. These are these huge planes and whatever, and all of them have air traffic controllers that have to keep track of where they are and how, so they don't run into each other. Now, I'm wondering what happens when you add another 2 million people to that list and small blips on the radar screen, and how are you going to keep those people from running into each other? Maybe they might have anti-collision like the cars have, and that's fine. So you turn upside down and you're flying upside down or whatever. I don't want to leave Winco in my flying car and 75 other people try to leave at the same time, and we're all trying to figure out, okay, who's flying at what altitude, who's going north, who's going south. I'm sorry. I've got the ground to tell me where to go. I got the streets and, stop signs and all that, but in the air, I won't have all that.
Well, they'll have to come up with a reuse of it. John, let me tell you, I've got good news. John, I got good news update for you. Elon Musk has already developed a much larger battery for electric flying vehicles because the thrust of the helicopter can lift a lot more weight. It can lift a lot more weight than a car. So adding a bigger battery to go farther is simple. But, again, it's got to evolve like the car did. How long did it take Ford to sell 12 million cars, right? Once the Model T was there, 20 years, right? Right on, John? 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Batteries suck. Batteries suck. They're terrible. We don't need batteries. We need supercapacitors. Period.
That would work too. That sign's coming. No, you're right. That science is coming. I haven't talked about it yet because a lot of government agencies refuse to look at the technology.
Yeah, I've got the technology already. And I met this really beautiful Vietnam girl. She's over in New York, and she works for Gucci. And I'm hoping that they got an investment group there, and I'm hoping that that's going to work on out. Because if that works on out,
well, I tell everybody, John, you should check this out. Star Technologies, Sydney, Australia.
I'm going to bring both of you down here, and I'm going to take you both to the finest lunch that you've ever had in your whole life.
All right.
Can I bring my flagpole?
We're on with that. Got to go, John. Thanks for the call, man. All right, take it easy.
Anyway, everybody go check out Star Technology, Sydney, Australia, and their Hero, HERO technology. It solves the world problem here.
All except for charging the batteries and where to land and where to take off from.
Well, replace batteries completely in a,
even if they do
a small cube.
Yeah. Still got to be charged somewhere, somehow, some way.
Unlimited electricity made from seawater. You'll find out one day.
Okay, I guess. They're going to have to do something because we're already 110% overload.
It creates two products, fresh water and electricity.
All right, got to go. All right, we'll be back with more. Don't forget the Cats are going to take on Northern Arizona State today at 1 o'clock at the stadium. That'll be on 100.7, our sister station XL Country after this. 27 minutes for the top of the hour. It is Saturday. It's November 4th, 2023. The Cats are going to take on Northern Arizona out at the stadium at 1 o'clock. That'll be in our sister station, XL Country, 100.7 on your FM dial. Is Russian President Vladimir Putin dead? Well, according to a mysterious Russian telegram channel and called General SVR, and Valery Solovey, I guess. I don't know. Russian name, Shane. Can't pronounce them,
Yeah. That's right.
In fact, the Russian president has supposedly breathed his last on Thursday, October 26th. The Putin we see now is actually his double, who they claim has been filling in for the sickly real Putin for several months. Few Russian or Western analysts believe that General SVR and Solovey are, who some say are one and the same person. After all, they have no concrete evidence supporting their sensational claims. They do provide remarkably detailed accounts of Putin's supposed death that enhance their, I love this word, Shane, verisimilitude. Verisimilitude. We got to start using that word more often. Verisimilitude. That it means real, or that's apparently real, or whatever. So,
yeah, ultimately real.
Yeah,
but not defined as fact. Ultimately real, but not defined as fact.
That's right.
Okay, so it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Now we know how Russia's run, and we've seen how it's run. So how this report came out of Russia makes me wonder where it really came from. It says that's where it's from, but I don't think so. Number two, a lot of stories that we read are just made up. But the interesting fact here is that, number one, if it were true, they would be withdrawing because they got to get out of Ukraine. And the other thing that's so fascinating about this is that it's your security services. Like, they wouldn't know. I mean, come on, the CIA? Well, they're brilliant,
Yeah.
All of them. Another disastrous, non-knowing situation occurs that is a global game changer, and they're
clueless.
They're not even on the pool team.
Yeah.
That's right. They're not even close to the 8 ball. They don't even have a cue in the hand.
That's for sure. Yeah. Well, with Russia's presidential election scheduled for March of 24, Shane, popular doubt about Putin's health and existence can only complicate the Kremlin's plans regarding just who should run and what margin of victory should there be. Now, that tells me what margin of victory should there be. That kind of tells me it's a fixed election. Then, isn't that what they're saying, sort of?
Well, your president's hoping that this isn't true. Because then he can run. I mean, if Putin's gone, it's even more reason to get rid of, or for him to walk away like an LBJ did. I will not accept, nor will I run for the president. I will not accept my party's nomination or run for president of the United States.
Yeah. Didn't Biden say we believe in truth over facts? Whose truth?
That's right. It depends on whose truth you believe.
Yeah. Where do all the wind turbine blades go when they wear out? Are they reclaimed? How many gallons of oil are needed to lubricate wind turbines? Without subsidies, would wind, solar, and EVs be economical? No, they wouldn't. Pretty.
Well, guess what, buddy? Someone must have listened to our
I
podcast
guess they must
about
have, yeah.
the reason the whales are beaching themselves. They're sentient beings on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And these windmills are driving them crazy, so they're committing suicide. They're as capable as any of us, and sound is the ultimate need for them to communicate. But here's the interesting news: in the last 10 days, every windmill operation that's either in the works or on the paper, on the books, have all been canceled. New York, Connecticut, Delaware, even Massachusetts. And Massachusetts, the state government is now taking up legislation to shut down the ones they have. So windmills are gone, didn't produce anything, and we spent trillions of dollars to build them.
Mm-hmm. I swear stupid people claim they still know what causes inflation and ignore actual economists who tell us Trump printing $6 trillion did it. Well, Trump's inflation was 1.6 when he left office, and it wasn't until Biden's third or fourth month that it went up to 2 to 3%, and then it went up from there. So you can tell me there's a lag time. Fine,
Well, no, there's no lag time. Food prices were 10 to 15% less than what they are now.
Yeah.
And gasoline was $1.25 or $6 or whatever, or $1.80 a gallon. That's it.
That's it.
This is that simple. It's not even complicated.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. So, you can put lipstick on a pig, I guess, as much as you want.
I don't know. Do you think Biden has a tail?
Yeah. Just say no on the upcoming elections to anything they put on there. Well, I don't think they've got any. They don't have much on there other than for the mayor and I think one of the judges. So, yeah. So, well, whichever mayoral candidate you vote for, you're gonna be screwed. So, it doesn't really matter. You might as well not vote for all the good it's going to do you because there's no. And all three of these people say we're going to bring change. One of them said this. You'll like this, Shane. One of them said we can't afford water for luxury apartments. We can't afford that. We can't afford luxury apartments taking all our water. I guess it's okay to have low income housing apartments to take all your water. So that must be okay.
Well, they'll have to put me in a padded room before I get rid of my air fryer.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's really remarkable. We go from 1 week talking about another Holocaust occurring, which is probably a reality.
Yeah,
with what's happened over the last week, to talking about the mayor in Bozeman. So, I guess we've moved up the scale of humanity a couple of levels.
Yeah. Well, Biden has been so good at cutting the deficit that it clocked in at $2 trillion last fiscal year. President likes to boast about how much he reduced the deficit and in his more careless moments, the debt itself, but he's really presiding over a historic period in fiscal proficiency. Another word we got to use more often, Jane.
Yeah, there you go.
His
And
self-congrat.
as you all know, because you heard it here first, the reason that your government's in that situation is because the Federal Reserve and the interest it collects on your debt that it holds annually pays between $1.2 to $1.4 trillion to the Treasury.
Yeah.
So there you go.
The president likes to boast about how much he reduced the deficits. His self-congratulation about reducing red ink is about as reliable as self-vaporizing stories about his academic achievements. Biden was taking a victory lap when the deficit was dropped by $1 trillion from its pre-pandemic highs of roughly $3 trillion, thanks to the inevitable end of the emergency COVID spending. Something, of course, the president had nothing to do with. Now the deficit has doubled again to $2 trillion, presumably testing even this president's ability to give himself unearned credit. So, I don't know.
Starting next year, I want everybody to know in 2024 that the near financial collapse of 2008 was caused, as we know, by mortgage-backed securities, most of which your Federal Reserve bought from the banks to protect them. So now those were 20 and 30-year mortgage-backed security, and they're coming due. So all the banks that basically owe the money across Europe mostly will have to pay your Federal Reserve starting next year till 2030 or 28. And it's so there is some sunshine at the other side of the debt that the Federal Reserve can reduce further. Good news, huh?
Well, yeah, that'd be good news for me.
Yeah, all of you.
Yeah. Well, when the Trump administration imposed tariffs on various imports in 2018, the stated purpose was to boost U.S. industries and punish foreign exporters. But rather than hurting foreign exporters, the economic evidence shows it is American firms and consumers hit hardest by the Trump tariffs. They resulted in higher prices for a variety of goods that U.S. Consumers and businesses purchase. The Biden administration continued and even increased many of the Trump tariffs, drawing some attention as inflation rises. And while tariffs do raise prices for American consumers, their impact on economy-wide inflation is relatively small. So Biden's talking about getting rid of some of the tariffs, Shane, and if he should do that, let's assume that he does. How soon do you think retailers are going to lower their prices on the stuff they sell, with inflation being where it is?
Well, it'll be about 18 months. Most of the companies, names like Apple, all the way to everything that Walmart buys, are either moving their operations to India or Vietnam. So, it's a cycle that started 4 years ago, and you're talking 4 to 6 years before the manufacturing is established and production's in line for them to ship. They've already started shipping a lot, and as you know, the global market for Chinese goods has dropped in the last year from 19% to 16% exports. So China's off the cliff. They're collapsing. It's a slow collapse, because guess what happens now? This is a great one. You're going to love this. I love this. So with the collapse of their commercial real estate, which is also residential real estate in China, and Everglade and other real estate companies owned by the Chinese government, run by the Chinese government, Xi has stepped in with all the Chinese banks. They have a commercial bank. They have a Bank of China. They have a real estate bank, an agricultural bank. And all these banks are now buying all these stocks at 10% of what they were, a year, 2, 3 years ago. So he's trying to save their stock market, which is collapsing, and down over 40%, and going lower. So, but it's interesting to see a communist socialist government stepping in to do such a communist socialist thing, buy public stock and to save their economy and the stock market. Investors have left China, so have loaners. And it's a dead zone, Thomas, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Historically, economists have generally found that foreign firms have absorbed some of the burden of tariffs by lowering their prices, meaning domestic firms and consumers haven't borne the entirety of higher tariffs in the past. In contrast to past studies, however, new studies have found the Trump-Biden tariffs have been passed almost entirely through to U.S. firms and final consumers. So let me ask you this, Shane. If the tariffs go away, where's the incentive for China to lower their prices? Because obviously you've been buying them with a penalty. So obviously you're not able to get them anywhere else. There's apparently there's no competition anywhere else from Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, or anywhere else. So You're screwed. And what is China's economic position right now, Shane? Are they rolling in cash?
No, all those countries will sell the products at a similar price, or Walmart won't buy them, or Target, or whomever. Here's the bottom line: the $70 trillion that you're getting right now in tariffs and have since Trump was president is going to be gone. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, buying public stock in the last 45 days, Z of China has bought $1.2 trillion US in public stocks to try and save his market. Here's the big number, though. That's 8.5 trillion yen. And remember, yen is a viral currency. So he's personally acting like the Federal Reserve and not the Bank of China. What a quagmire. This is going to be fun to watch. I'm enjoying this because this is the biggest one. This is bigger than 29.
Yeah. Well, it could be.
When you see 400 million Chinese running in the street, you'll know.
It makes sense to me to have goods manufactured here where they will be available to consumers. Don't tariffs enable that policy? Well, they do, except that we as Americans consume more than we can possibly produce here. Now, companies that make washers and dryers and refrigerators and things like that, it's too costly to ship those across an ocean. So they build plants in London and Czechoslovakia. Well, there isn't a Czechoslovakia anymore, I guess. They put them wherever, the Czech Republic or Poland or Turkey, and produce them there. So,
well, I watch, as you know, the North Sea ship rates. That's one of the things I watch. Walmart stock. That's a big tell for me too. But the shipping rate costs now have increased in the last 6 months by 30%, coming from India, Vietnam, and other regions of the South Pacific, with products that China doesn't produce. But their problem is short-lived because within the next 20 years, everything will be automated. So you will be able to produce things cheaper than them because it'll be done by computer and robots.
Well, that's true. Right now, the only reason things are so high made in America are unions.
That's correct. And, India will hold strong because they will overtake China within the next 10 years. But regrettably, the government, in the way it's run, is similar to China in a lot of ways. And so you'll stand guard. And with this new travel, this is a forced revolution. I mean, when I say 400,000 jobs, I'm talking about probably 200 to 250,000 new jobs in the U.S. Brand new. That's six figures, like 150 to 200 grand a person. This is going to be good. Everybody's going to have fun.
Yeah. Two things that are holding India back. One is the caste system, and the second one is they really need infrastructure desperately to move their goods and services more. All right. Let's see if we can get a call in here. 406-522-TALK is the number, 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's going on?
Well, hi, this is Jeff.
Hey.
Listening to your show.
Thanks.
You didn't read my text about me doing better than I was 4 years ago, but
I want to respond to Shane's comment that windmills should be extinct because they make some annoying noises.
True.
But there's no proof that there's bad health effects. But here's my little quick list of things.
No. You're wrong on that. No, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're wrong on that. There have been now studies done by 7 major universities and even the UN. And
turn your radio down while you.
The Department of Interior are reviewing it. So no, I'm sorry, but that's proven science.
Well, that's fine. And okay, let's get rid of turbines, but let's also get rid of gasoline, coal-fired generators, plastic, lead, PFAS, cigarettes, alcohol, and religion. They all kill people.
Yeah, I don't think religion kills people. People kill people in the name of religion, but religion doesn't hurt anyone.
Yeah, we got to get rid of gasoline and diesel. We can't run planes, trains, and automobiles with it. We need it for lubricants and petrochemicals, Thomas, and I have told you that.
Yeah.
Well, to enjoy the rest of the weekend, go Cats tomorrow. Go Cats today, and tomorrow, go Birds.
All right. All right. Must be an Eagles fan. All right.
It's a great game tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, in the morning with daylight savings time, Miami and the Chiefs are in Germany.
I know. Yeah, they got their yacht over there.
My time.
I don't know if you've seen I don't know if you've seen the Chiefs yacht in Germany.
I know.
Oh yeah. You need to look that up. You need to look it up.
And the stadium seating 82,000 is
all right.
Great. I picked the Chiefs. Mahomes is my homie. I'm going all the way to the Super Bowl with that buddy.
Okay. One of our texters has finally gotten it, Shane. Finally.
Oh my goodness. What?
Finally.
All right.
For years, Tom has claimed debt doesn't matter as long as we can service it. How true is that? Thank God we can service. Thank God we can service our debt.
That's what makes you America.
Have you heard anyone campaigning on reducing the debt? Any politician has said, "I'm going to reduce the debt." Anybody said that? Why isn't Kamala in charge of the debt? I don't know.
Hey, the simple solution, 5% cut in every department, you have a balanced budget in 2 years. There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It isn't complicated.
No, not at all. Eric Trump signs financial statements but claims he pours concrete. Who believes Eric pours concrete? Well, I believe it because Trump is the kind of guy who makes his kids work.
That's right.
It wouldn't surprise me if Eric and Junior both put in time at some construction site. That wouldn't.
Well, I remember when.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
I remember 30 years ago when Trump was building that hotel in Times Square, and his assistant at the time was interviewed. I don't remember the network, and they said to her, he really understands. I mean, what's going on here? And she said, "Let me tell you this really quick. I was walking down the street where we are right now, heading to the building. It was only half built, and he looked up and he said to me, I want the whatever the floor, 10th, 12th floor, balconies checked because they're off by a foot."
Yeah.
He saw that from across the street. They went in, checked it out. They were off by a foot.
Yeah. All right. If you don't
all had to be done.
Yeah.
Anyway.
If you don't have debt, you wouldn't have to service the debt. Well, if that bridge needs repair, what are you gonna do? You gonna go door to door with your cup? Hey, that bridge is gonna fall down and kill some people. No, you borrow money, you put yourself in debt, you sell bonds, and when the bonds mature, you pay them off. That's how it works.
That's right. Outside every store, they're going to put a bucket, and it's going to have a sign that says Montana Highway Development Program for your bridge.
Yeah, right.
With an arrow. Yeah. Donate here.
Yeah. Yeah, got a little lock box on the side of the road there. You can We'll work for bridge.
Yeah, and they'll have a hologram of your governor, ringing a bell, to try and get people to give money.
A while ago, you couldn't get cars due to chip shortages. If the chips were produced here, wouldn't that be helpful? Well, there are some companies that are putting in chip factories here, Shane. I believe you know about that.
Correct, and we did a deep dive on this. It was about 9 months ago, only to discover that again the woke was not telling the story, and they were blaming shipping and all this other. But all the major automobile companies have what's called storage inventory.
Yeah,
So that
you're right.
was not a problem. There you go.
All right, say goodbye, Shane.
I will indeed. Be happy, be safe, everyone. Thank you so much for all the phone calls. They're great. Appreciate that you want to listen to myself and Eagle Man, my BFF forever. And always remember, for me and yourself, live in the moment, live to work. Be happy in what you do. Get up every day and want to go to work because you love and decided what you want to do to make yourself happy and your family. So we live in the best country clubs in the world, and it's the 21st century. We will talk to you all again next week.
All right. Thanks so much, Shane. Amen. Best guy to have on my show every morning, our show. He's a godsend. All right. I'll leave you with how many traffic controllers will it take to manage thousands of flying passenger cars through the air? We'll leave you with that one. Cats and Northern Arizona, 1 o'clock, 100.7 FM dial. Back next week. I'm out of here.